What is going on, YouTubers? I'm going to try to keep this as short and brief as possible. I'm just going to give you my quick review on the World Series and how things ended the way they did. I wanted to, watch it and then enjoy it while it lasts, so that's why I haven't been making some videos lately. But the Astros won the World Series. Congrats to the Houston Astros. That city's been through a lot within the last year or so, it's nice to see them win a championship. It's the first time they've ever won something like this before, so congratulations to them. Dodgers, coming from a Giants fan, I'm very disappointed in you guys, to be honest. As much happiness as it brings me the fact that they didn't win, it honestly is kind of sad. They were the better team. If you think about it, on paper, they had the best closer, they had the best pitcher in the game, they had the Rookie of the Year in Cody Bellinger, they had one of the best third basemen in Justin Turner, one of the best shortstops in Seager, Michael Taylor had an outstanding year, Puig had a revitalized year, Peterson did some things in the postseason, Forsythe as well, Brandon Morrow. I mean, the list goes on and on, man. And I would say that if there ever was a year the Dodgers would win the World Series, it would have been this year, man. I mean, they gave up some assets to get Yu Darvish at the deadline, and the fact that they didn't get Verlander ended up costing them quite a bit. But at the end of the day, I just think they played themselves out of the World Series. You go back to Game 2, where Jansen blows the save, gives up the home run to Gonzalez. That was a game they should have went up 2-0 going to Houston, but instead they tied it. And the other one that really stood out was Game 5. Game 5, they gave Kershaw 7 runs of run support, and he couldn't hang on to the lead, where he blew the lead twice, a 4-run lead and a 3-run lead, and he didn't get the job done. So I think that right there, they should have won the World Series in 5 games, in my opinion. But they gave a team like Houston hope, and when you give a team like Houston hope, most of the time bad things happen, man, because they were grinders, man. It's really undescribable on how great that team really was, because they're the first team to win without a bullpen. I mean, when you think about it, they had their closer lose his closer's role in the middle of the World Series. I mean, that's how bad Ken Giles was. And let's think about it. I mean, Davinsky wasn't great. You had Charlie Morton close the World Series out to get the last 12 outs. I mean, it was really shocking to me, and it was really crazy on how well Houston performed in order to beat a team like the Dodgers. I mean, to give the Dodgers credit, they had an absolutely loaded team this year, and the Houston had to do everything right in order to win this series, and it did. For the Dodger fans, coming from a Giants fan, I mean, I don't really understand your guys' pain, but I can imagine it's really frustrating. This was a great World Series. It was a very entertaining World Series. Every year it gets better and better, it feels like. I mean, I thought nothing could top last year's World Series, but I think this year's was even better. But at the end of the day, I mean, people are going to criticize Dave Roberts for not starting Kershaw in Game 7. But, I mean, when you think about it, it's Game 7 of the World Series. At that point, the better team is going to win. And when you only go 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position at your home field, I mean, it honestly doesn't really matter who pitches, because you're not going to shut a team like Houston. You're not going to shut them out in 9 innings, and they only scored one run. So Houston deserved to win this World Series. I think the Dodgers made too many mistakes, and they blew too many chances. I mean, they had 3-4 chances to win the World Series this year, and unfortunately the ball just didn't go their way. So kudos to the Astros, but there's not a doubt in my mind that both teams will be here next year. It's kind of interesting because you look at the Astros and their trip to the World Series. They had to grind their way throughout the entire postseason. They had to beat Chris Sale twice to get through the division series. They had to beat a loaded Yankees team with the bullpen that they had. They had to beat them in 7 games. And then you had to beat the Dodgers in 7 games. I mean, it's not more impressive than that. I don't know what is. But and the Dodgers, they're kind of like the Eastern Conference of the NBA, because you had the Dodgers, who are the top dog in the National League, and then you had like a bunch of second-tier teams, third-tier teams like the Cubs and the Nationals. And when you think about it, there was nobody to really challenge LA for the National League, and they kind of had a cakewalk to the World Series when you think about it. And it made it really easy for the Dodgers. And I think what was kind of the problem was, since the fact that nobody really challenged them, they didn't handle pressure very well. And when especially when you give Houston like a team, hope, most of the time it doesn't turn out very well. Because I don't really know what more you could have done with the Dodgers. I mean, their roster was absolutely loaded, But it's just something that they're going to have to figure out next year. You just wonder if they can really do it at this point, because this is like, the 5th year they won a division title. They've won 100 games like the last 3 years or something. They won a lot of games, that's all I know. And I don't know, man. It's going to be very interesting. You'd have to assume they're going to win the National League next year, but you never know, because last year at this time, the Cubs were the favorites to win the National League again, and it didn't turn out that way. So we'll have to see what happens, because, Bellinger is still young. Who knows what happens his sophomore year. Seager had back problems. Kershaw's been known to be, injured time to time. So we'll see what happens with the Dodgers. They still have questions that need to be answered. Whether they sign Yu Darvish back or not, who knows. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And the same thing with the Astros. The Astros are going to have a lot of free agents. They're going to have a lot of decisions to make on who they re-sign back and what moves they decide to make as well. So, but yeah, this was a very good World Series. I was very entertained. It's sad that the baseball season has come to an end, but I will keep you guys updated with everything that happens in the off season and the winter meetings and everything else as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned for those videos. And if you guys are new, subscribe. If you guys enjoyed it, click a like, comment if you have any opinions or anything else like that. So that's all for me, guys. Hope you guys have a good day. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.